Yesterday, we discussed the characteristics of a strong historical question, and here are the notes that we put together for fourth period in that discussion. Hopefully, one of the takeaways you got from that was that good historical questions require strong argumentative responses, which sort of highlighting for you there. When you have your in-class writing assignment on Monday, I will draft and pose for you one of these types of strong historical questions that you'll then have to come up with an argumentative response to. As I hinted at in class, the essay will be one that asks you to compare the two major texts that you're dealing with. Obviously, one, the Joyce Appleby Shores of Knowledge Summer Reading Book, and the second, the excerpt from the Kagan, Osman, and Turner textbook about the voyages of discovery and the new empires in the East and West. So in essence, both these texts deal with a similar time period and similar content, but have some differences in the way in which they present this narrative. So in order to give you a sense of what I'll be looking for in the writing, I wanted to go over the rubric that I will use for evaluating your two paragraphs. Again, the intro with a thesis statement and the one body paragraph that you develop based on your thesis. So I'm using a format that hopefully you recognize from having used in Dr. Taylor's class, where the criteria are listed in the middle, as you can see there, the main things I'm looking for. I have 5 different ones here. And then to each side of that center column, I have a space where I can offer feedback about areas that are either strong or areas where we want to work toward improvement as the year progresses. So, here are the 5 major things that I'm looking for as you do this writing assignment. And I think that you'll see these criteria are ones which naturally emerge from having written a strong argumentative and interpretive historical question. The first criteria has to do with an argumentative thesis that addresses the entire question. This is a characteristic that the AP test will ask of you, but that is something you should strive to include anytime you are writing an essay. Make sure that you have a particular take on something and it's not merely summary or narrative recap. The second criteria is that your thesis not only has a strong argumentative emphasis, but also establishes a clear structure. I talk about this as a structural thesis. Other teachers might talk about it as a blueprint or a framework or a mini outline for the rest of your essay. Here I want you to be thinking about how you could create an essay that would develop at least 3 body paragraphs, though you're only going to be developing 1. So the goal is to write a thesis, conceive of how you could develop this into 3 distinct points, but you're only going to develop 1. The third point has to do with your topic sentences. If you have clear structural points, each of those structural points should then naturally turn into a strong argumentative topic sentence. In other words, you want to make sure that your topic sentences offer a strong assertive stance and don't merely summarize content, recap plot, define a term, anything that would be more objective. Those topic sentences, just like the thesis, must be debatable. The fourth criteria that I'm looking for has to do with the fact that you're using 2 different sources for this writing assignment. So I want to see that you've engaged with both of these sources, and I want to see you use evidence from both of them in the body paragraph. This is slightly different from your English classes, but in this case you can either summarize, so accurately capture in your own words what either Appleby or Kagan and his co-authors are talking about, or you can quote sparingly, and I emphasize sparingly so that you don't spend a whole bunch of time in class copying down quotations verbatim, but rather highlight key words or short phrases that you think shed insight into the author's argument and your contrast of those. Finally, after you employ evidence, I want to see that you are able to make commentary, do some interpretation about that, as I say here, that builds on and explains why the selected evidence is significant and how it supports your overall thesis. So your commentary shouldn't just restate what the evidence said, but should link back to some larger argument you're making about the significance of either the similarities or differences between these two sources. Given that it's a comparison, you can prepare as you think about these texts to think what are the similarities, what are the differences. And comparative essays are going to be one type that you will encounter on the AP exam as well. Finally, to give you a sense about what previous questions have looked like and what feedback I've given on these sorts of assessments, I have included on Veracross a link for you to a previous summer reading related prompt that is comparative between two different authors, as well as the general feedback comments that I gave to students when I looked at, read closely, and identified the major patterns in their paper. Certainly the most important stuff for you will be introductions and thesis statements, given that's one of the things you're writing, and body paragraphs. I've also included in this feedback some stylistic comments, and though I'm not evaluating style, I think these are some worthwhile things to consider as you work to improve your writing in this class, but also in English and across the curriculum, anywhere that you're doing writing. Finally, here's the agenda for day 4 of class, and in the homework section it has all the material that you will need to prepare for the in-class writing assignment. This link, the third one here, will become live once I post this video. And then the link to the feedback from the prior writing prompt is available at this link, or as soon as this part of the video ends, I'll have a shortened link that will allow you to get there as well. Please be in touch if you have any questions this weekend, and I'll look forward to seeing your analyses as I read them after you've written them on Monday. Thanks.